Hi everyone, Dave Platt, I'm from IBM. I think I've got about 10 minutes and about 10 minutes worth of video and about 10 slides, so that's not going to work, is it? So I'm going to be really quick with through a few slides, just do a bit of positioning. What I'm really trying to do is just give an IBM sort of perspective on the industry and digital, what does it all mean? So a few slides, a couple of videos, and that'll be me done. So one of the things I think, sorry, this is the worst slide you've ever seen. I just pasted this in, but I thought it was worth just giving a perspective on IBM because I think we have very, I often go to clients and there are very different perceptions about what IBM do. And actually, just to sort of set the record straight, yes, we are a big beast, 170 countries, we have 400,000 employees. Our focus is really on cloud, cognitive computing, smarter commerce, digital platforms, Internet of Things, mobile, and an important one there is security. We're 100 and something years old now, 107, I think, something like that. Started life building weights and measures, weighing machines, into things like typewriters. Who remembers the ball typewriter rather than the strip one? That was an IBM product. And now, and it's technology is just at the heart of what we do. So into nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, you might have heard of Watson. That's obviously one of the big IBM players at the moment. And I think one of the things that I've even seen kind of in my career at IBM, which actually is about 17 years now, is really the move from products into services. And I think that's kind of a theme that is happening in this industry as well. Talk about that in a bit. I came from PwC Consulting, and that was kind of part of that journey, was expanding into more service-orientated business. We are a very innovative company. So, as you said, we're kind of big and innovative, and IBM is a big beast, but if you get into the heart of it, we're pumping in about 5 billion a year into research, pure research. There are, it's an entire organization in its own right. So, there are some stats there. We've got 5 Nobel Prizes, 6 Turing Awards, technology medals, just the kind of highest accolades that you can reach. And we have, for 25 consecutive years, we've had more patents than the next 5 companies put together. So, research and innovation is really at the heart of what we do. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the industry and what we see and kind of what it means for IBM and what our clients are saying to us a little bit. So, I'm not in construction. I'm not an architect. I don't build anything apart from systems. So this is what our clients are sort of talking about. So the megatrends are really driving what's happening in the industry. And the only one I'm really going to focus on is that one in the top left, so the digital side of things. But clearly, the government response, government task group response to this is around the BIM agenda and all of those things that you were talking about earlier. So, but this is really at the heart of what is happening. And this is what's driving things. Sustainability is really, really key. And just the movement in population, the changes in demographics. These are the things that are really driving the changes. So this is fundamental. The way we see the world is that, in order to, and you were talking about it earlier, the sort of outcomes and performance, you've got to think about the end, you've got to think with the end in mind and work backwards to understand how information should be managed and passed through the life cycle of our assets from design and into build and into operate and maintain. And that's very dependent as to whether you're talking about brownfield, greenfield. It's, this is a complicated industry. I mean, you said 90 billion. I think the percentage in terms of small, medium-sized businesses, something like 97% of the industry is small, medium-sized businesses. It's a really fragmented, complicated industry. And that changes the way you think about things. But fundamentally, if the industry can get this right, and we're all part of it, essentially, at some point in that life cycle, if you can get it right, then the benefits that can be had are really significant. Just in terms of increase of productivity, you mentioned, reducing waste and cost. And what we're seeing a lot of is our clients that might be operating in these sort of traditional spaces are trying to kind of get pointy elbows and move more upstream and downstream, offer new services. And the reason for that really is because there is quite often more margin to be had in these areas. I mean, half of you are architects, so you know this stuff, right? And what's digital doing? What's digital actually? What impact is it having on the industry? So, today what we see is that construction itself, in its traditional sense, is a powerful beast, and without the traditional construction type organisations, the owners, are not able to deliver what they need in terms of buildings and infrastructure assets, etc. And to some extent, the weaker cousins are the manufacturers and the sort of digital economy, which is obviously growing. But what we're seeing is the market forces really are pushing that space. They're really squeezing that traditional construction space. So the industrialization of construction is happening, and will continue to happen. The modularization of the construction process is all important. And so that construction space starts to squeeze itself into more advisory services and more kind of assembly logistics, I would describe it as. And the digital economy is becoming more powerful. The ability to kind of have a more fragmented, rapid transactions rather than these large construction projects with big contracts. That digital economy allows that to be squeezed and things become smaller and more granular. So, very quickly, if you're in any doubt about this will never happen in the construction, engineering, and O&M services industry, it's going to happen. It's happening across the board, and it'll happen in construction, and it'll happen with the manufacturers. It already is with the manufacturers. So, everyone needs to kind of watch it 1 minute. Okay, I'm not going to get to my video. So I'm going to flick straight through. So our focus really, if I can just position a few things. So one of the things we're really talking to our clients about is the concept of the digital platform. So what is it? So the way I like to see the world is that we're kind of on the far side there. We have systems of record. These are your core systems that you work with. That's not going to change. You've invested in those, you use them, you're happy with them. That's not going to change. Open data is becoming obviously more and more important. It's not about your plan, it's about how is my plan impacted by the weather, for example. And then you've got your third party, your supply chain system. So all these things need to come together, and really important is establishing that information fabric that enables these things to come together. And to do that, data standards, methods, procedures, all of that boring traditional stuff is really important. If you're going to establish a common language to be able to interact together, those things are really important. And the orchestration of that process so that you can deliver against your digital plan of works to the right level of detail, right level of granularity is really important. Once you've kind of established that information fabric, that process data assurance layer, then on top of that, you can develop insights. You can query the information that lies beneath it, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff around analytics and cognitive to drive more and more value out of the information that you hold. And system of engagement is really about how you visualize, how you engage with that data. So systems of interaction, systems of insight, systems of engagement is kind of how we describe a digital platform underpinned by orchestration and assurance of the data within it. Won't even go into the Internet of Things. This is just another view on that. So, I think on that far side, the ability for an organization like IBM to influence specifically what happens on a project is quite limited. You will be using your tools, your common data environments. I think what's really key is that central area, so the information that is captured and retained and collaborated on and becomes the ownership of the owner-operator of the asset is all important. So that, the assurance, the method, the procedure to drive that central section here, to then build all this cool digital stuff on top of, is really key. And for me, that's kind of the focus at the moment. So is whilst there's a huge interest in all this cool technology, from an IBM perspective, that's where we play.